All right, for this dish now, we're gonna do arancini. Now, arancini is kind of slang for oranges. And the reason we're gonna call it that is because this dish, when we're all finished, almost looks like oranges. And what it really is, though, is rice cakes, or more specifically, it's risotto balls. We're gonna make them about the size of oranges. And you can do these a bunch of different ways and fill them with a lot of different things. One nice thing is maybe pieces of mozzarella, chunks of mozzarella, so when you put them in the oven and cook them through, the mozzarella melts. You could do them with spinach, you can do it with peas. Classically, peas would be a great ingredient, but I thought we'd mix it up a little bit today and do it a little different. And for the ingredients I'm going to use today, I thought we'd start with some pork. Now, for this, you could use pork shoulder, pork butt, something that's one of those tougher cuts we talk about. And you could just kind of pan-sear it, get it cooked through a little bit, and shred it. Or you can do what I'm doing here today. I have a half of a pork tenderloin. I happen to have a pork tenderloin left over. And like I say, you know, you don't need to go out and buy special ingredients. You can use what you have in the house. Here's half. The other half is about this long. Pork tenderloin is like the filet mignon of the pork. So there's really not a lot of fat on it. So we just trim up a little bit of the fat that might be on the outside and some of the silver skin. And it's a very lean piece. So all I'm going to do is pan-sear this, and then I'm going to do a fine dice. So I get little mouth-sized, bite-sized pieces of the pork through this risotto cake or this risotto ball. All right, so we got our oil hot. I'm going to flour the pork so it doesn't stick, just real quick. We're going to add that to a pan. Okay, well that's going. Tell you a little bit about some of the other things we have. Now, with risotto, there's a couple of different types of rice. Probably the most common one that you'll find in the store is what we have right here. Now, this is called arborio rice. It's a short rice. It's very starchy. It has a nice outer shell, and what you're doing when you cook this is you're trying to coax all that starch out of the rice kernel and into the pan. And that's what's going to make this stick together. It's going to give it a real, a great texture to it. And it's going to be very starchy and very rich tasting. So, arborio rice. I know a lot of people get scared maybe about the way to cook risotto, but really all you're going to do is a little bit of onion, a little bit of butter, kind of toast the risotto for a little bit, and then just keep adding water or wine or chicken stock or pork stock, whatever you have, a couple of times till the rice gets cooked through. And how do you know it's cooked? Taste it. When it doesn't have that crunch to it anymore, that's how you would cook any other rice. So what I did was, to save that step, what I have is right here, I have some of that risotto that's been cooked off for us. So what we did was, you're going to cook the risotto through, or you can use rice for this if you want to, but risotto is going to be more starchier. It's going to be a much better dish. Then let it cool, because we're going to have to form these balls with our hands, and if we do it when it's real hot, we'll get burnt, they won't stick together, it'll just be a lot more difficult. All right, so see, we sear all sides here, we get the pork cooked through. All right, I'm just going to put that off to the side for a minute. So when that gets cooked through, you then add a little bit, well, we'll keep going for a second. Let me just show you the rest of the dish. We'd add some onions to this. You want to go with a smaller dice, because again, you want bite-sized pieces in this. All right, well that goes, we get the onions brown, and we'll grab our ladle here, and I'd add just a little bit of tomato sauce, and a little bit of water or chicken stock. I love that sound. I love that sizzle. Hey, this is real cooking. This is not stunt cooking. Okay, so we're gonna let that cook. All right, so you let the pork cook through, at which point then, you take the pork, let it cool, you dice the whole thing up, and that's what you have right here. So we've got some onions in there, we've got a little tomato sauce, some chicken stock or water, we've got the diced pork. So to make our stuffing now, or start the risotto, we're going to start with some of our rice, our par cooked or cooked risotto that's been cooled, and it's cooked through. Okay, and then we're going to add a little bit then of our pork mix. And you can do this in batches. So we add a little bit of the pork mix. Oh, there we go. And we add a little bit of grated cheese, and I think grated cheese not only does it help flavor this dish, it's going to help it all come together. And we're going to add a little bit of fresh pepper. Okay, and if you wanted to add a pinch of salt, we could do that. And remember, if you wanted to, all these ingredients are cooked now, so you can mix this up and taste it and find out if you have enough salt and pepper, if it's seasoned enough. Okay, so we get this going, and then what we do is we're going to start to pull these together. We're going to start to form a couple of rice balls with them. And then to finish that, and we'll do that in a second, a little more cheese, I think. Okay, that's starting to stick. There we go. That's nice. While we do that, I have a little bit of egg here. Let's start with one egg. We'll start with our second egg. Okay, we're just going to whisk that up. I'll beat it up with a fork here. Where's my forks? There we go. I like to season my egg with a little bit of pepper. And a little bit of grated cheese here. Okay, we'll just beat that up. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start shaping these. Now you could do these if you wanted to, almost like a crab cake shape. That's great. You could do them, well, any shape you want. But what we're going to do is we're going to start forming them into round balls. Okay, let's see, a little bigger here. And remember, everything's really cooked through, so all you want to do is get this to come together. We're going to coat it, and we're going to do that with a little egg wash. And then we're going to go into our breadcrumbs. Okay? And now it's starting to come together. Okay? And that's what we got. Now, I'll show you, I got a couple of those. I'll show you a couple more. So once you get those going, breadcrumbs, you know, if you want to buy them, you want to make some, you want to do them with without the breadcrumbs, just a little flour, that would work too. But this is what we have here. So I got a couple of these guys formed, same thing. We're going to put them in a little egg wash. I like the breadcrumbs. That's classic. That's the way it should be. We're going to coat them in our breadcrumbs. Okay, so here we go. We're starting to come out of the fryer now, and we're just going to let them drain on a paper towel. We got one more guy in there working. That'll be just a second. And I got one here nice and hot. Let me just give you a quick look on the inside, what these look like. They're cooked through. Look at that. The inside's nice and hot. Can you see that? Isn't that beautiful? I mean, these are absolutely just incredible. Starters, snacks, a meal. You can make these with ground pork. You could do them with, I mean, just about anything you could think of. And they're great as an appetizer, great as a meal. How's this guy look? There's our last one. And see how fast they are? Remember, everything's cooked, so you just kind of brown them up on the outside. And then if you wanted to, one way of finishing these, I mean, you could do a bunch of different sauces, but I think more of that fresh tomato sauce, a little more of the marinara right on top, and a little bit more. To me, that's a great dish, and we just kind of cut it open again for you. I mean, look at that. That's not phenomenal. That is really just a simple, classic Italian dish. Pork arancini. Again, you can fill them with anything. You can do them with fish, all vegetables. You can do them with chicken, anything that you like. Simple to do. You can make these ahead of time, like just about everything else we're showing you. You can make these ahead of time, keep them in the fridge, and then all you have to do is pan fry them. You can even finish them in the oven. The idea, though, is it's simple. It's a great way to get it started going on the table, appetizer or a full meal. Either way, I think you got a home run here.